Welcome, everybody, to the American Space Museum. I'm Marquette. We're so glad you're with us to stay curious with Marty Winkel beside me here. Hi, Marty.
Mark, how you doing?
Well, good. Marty just got back into town from a almost 2 week vacation, and I'm going to go off for a few days. And so we really haven't debriefed each other, but Marty put together a program of the Cradle of Aviation here on our backdrop here. And glad to have you back, my friend. We did our 1111th episode yesterday about Karen Conklin, and it's just amazing. Let's talk a little bit about Karen here. We're going to have a great program, but Marty, thank you for coming on here. But talk about Karen here just a little bit. She really gave you and me free reign with this program, and just take a few comments about her.
Well, she gave you free reign.
Yeah.
Just your assistant. I've known Karen probably since about 2001, and she's just so easygoing and so pleasant to be around. Really enjoyed her company. Good leadership. Really going to miss her.
Yeah, we're going to miss her a lot. Too young of age at age 65. Here's the wake information. It'll be July 31st, and it will be televised. So our good friends around the world that support Stay Curious, and you and me the last 4 years, Marty. I do miss her. I think Karen would come in about 3 o'clock and plop down in the seat beside me and say, okay, what's today's show? And sometimes I had it ready, and sometimes I said, well, just sit there and I'll tell you. Let me get it together here. But those were always sort of better shows for me because I had some pre-production go through. We would look at the slideshow. Usually I had everything together by 3 for the 4 o'clock show.
But she had some good suggestions that time.
Yeah, that's what something like this needs is people just making a comment here and there, and one little comment. Maybe I grabbed a prop, or maybe I said something that I hadn't said before, or maybe I didn't say something that I was intending to say, because we always want to be politically correct, and as a nonprofit, and everybody's equal, and there's no sex, religion, or politics discussed on this show. And so, I do miss that part of her for sure, that she would come in here and talk. And boy, that was like the last day. She came in on a Wednesday and just collapsed and said, Mark, my chest hurts. And Friday she was in the hospital on Memorial Day weekend. So you'll hear a lot of things about Karen as long as I'm host of this show, and Marty's my co-producer on this. We will keep her dream alive for sure, as well as these gentlemen who just been a bad week for losing what we call national treasures. Here's two guys, that Bob Giffen there.
Bob's away.
Yeah. And Murphy Wardman, we've talked about them quite a bit. Each one of them have been on Stay Curious. You could, if you don't find their name as you Google it on YouTube, it'll be on our Facebook program. Because at 1,100 shows, we've done about 500 of them were on Facebook, before we reached 1,000 followers on Facebook, YouTube, to put it on there. But both great guys. You talked to them a bunch, hanging out around here. This is the backbone of America's space age right there, Marty, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that Karen and these two gentlemen are at the same funeral home at the same time is just, in a way, unbelievably sad, but in another way, beautiful. They're waiting for Karen to get their hugs from her up there in heaven or wherever. And but both these gentlemen, tomorrow Murphy's at 11 o'clock, and Saturday Bob Giffen at 2 o'clock. Murphy will, that you can check out the North Brevard Funeral Home. And the family does appreciate all that. So, well, on a lighter side, Marty, you went up to your homeland of New York, Long Island specifically, and we've racked up some pictures here. So kick it off there, my friend, with what you want to share.
I'm used to you asking questions. I
Well,
can't kick it up.
where did yeah, and hey, thank you for coming in this side of the camera. This is only your second time, I
Third
think.
time. Third
Third
time.
time. Okay, you're
I'm
counting. Third time.
counting them.
Well, the one you did with he used coasters off of chairs, uh, so you don't mar up the floor to beautifully show you how the limb was put together, and you can check that out. So thank you, Marty, for coming on this other side of the camera.
You owe me big time.
Well, it's been a rough week for all of us, and I'm just pleased that I'm going to get up the road to Tennessee, and we'll figure out a show Friday and Monday. And Marty might pick something that we've had before. And Tuesday, we hope to show two astronauts, Roger Crouch and Winston Scott, on a tape show that we did. So with Roger's wife, Anne, giving Winston a quilt of valor. That was a lot of fun. So thank you, Bruce Jacobs, for stitching that together, and we'll be showing that here in the next couple of Stay Curious episodes. Well, where'd you go? Let's just throw the picture up there. You went here.
Went to the
And
Cradle of Aviation. And let me preface this
what
by
town?
it's in Garden City, Long Island. It's about maybe 8 or 9 miles from where I grew up, but it was also 48 miles from where my brother lives. So, and driving in Long Island, not fun, not for me.
Not fun, huh?
There's too much traffic.
And we think there's a lot of traffic here.
Oh gosh,
We can rest assured it's nothing like Long
no,
Island.
no
huh?
comparison. Not at
Okay.
all. But so that's so my brother went with me. So I'm prefacing with that.
Your
He-
brother's name, tell everybody.
My brother's Fred. He's my twin brother.
Paternal twins,
Yeah.
but you do guys favor each other
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah, we got a picture of him in there.
Yeah.
And he's not a space fan. No matter what I talk to him about, he doesn't buy it. He's just doesn't care. His gesture and his terminology, I don't care.
That's like
No
Uncle
big deal.
Phil. Yeah, I've known some people like that.
There's people like that. So anyway, so
But
I
he's a
kinda,
great guy. I met Fred a few years ago and successful in what he did in life. And
so I kind of rushed through it to some degree. Spent about hour and a half, close to 2 hours, I guess. So I just stayed into the space section of it. I missed the aircraft, but I don't mind missing that. But I missed the planetarium. They have a show every hour. And we left at 3 o'clock, and at 3 o'clock, the planetarium show was, I think it was titled The Stars. So when I thought about you, Mark,
thank you.
and I figured, I hate to miss this because I can go back maybe and talk to Mark about the stars.
Yeah.
But anyway, I missed it. And anyway, so that's the Grumman F-14. And Grumman is based on Long Island. And so they have a lot of aircraft. All the aircraft, I think, is from Grumman Aircraft Corporation, which is what his name was years ago. Then it went to Grumman Aerospace, and now they're with Northrop Grumman. And Republic is out there in Fairchild. So a lot of their aircraft were out there, but this is the only one I really saw because it was out front. And that's the Grumman F-14 Tomcat.
We're off to a good start here with Dean Babcock saying hello to both of us. And Larry Pushkar, thank you, Larry. Hadn't seen your comments. Sorry for your loss. Robert Law, good to see Marty on the other side of the camera, says Robert Law. William Whiting, welcome back, Marty. Got him on the other side of the camera, William. I can't believe it myself here. My big brother back in town. Steve Jokum says, good to see Marty. And if you guys got some comments, he's going to take us, though. Did you hear what he said about taking family to museums? All right. That you really love. I talk about that all the time about, out of 10 people, 2 are probably really enthralled with what they're seeing here. And 5 are going, how close to Disney World and Universal? And the other 3 are going, we're hungry, where we want to eat, But good for your brother hanging in there that long.
He did have one funny comment, or text, I should say. He texted my other brother and said, I'm at the Cradle of Aviation with your brother Marty. And it's like watching a kid go through a candy store.
Oh, is it really?
Hey, look at this, look at that, wow.
Well, that's good.
But that was an
That's
exaggeration.
Yeah, really, that's great. And what Marty took pictures of, we're going to see is just phenomenal. I hope to go there someday. If you've been there, please comment that you have and on there. But here's the outside of it. Of course, is beautiful there with Sally Ride. All right, and we're going to see some pictures of this wonderful statue of Sally Ride, like right now, and talk about it. Marty, what's on either side of the museum here?
Well, obviously, that's the Cradle of Aviation. I'll say straight on. But looking at it to the left is the, I think it's called Fireman's Museum. And that'd be something I would have liked to go into. But again, my brother wasn't really wanting to go to another museum. And to the right, it's another hangar. And it's a museum. And I think it's more aircraft. But I didn't get over there. But I was just basically captivated by that site with Sally Ride.
Now, while you were away, we've been having these feels like 107-degree days all the time. What was the weather like up in Long Island?
The weather was really great. We had some rain driving onto Long Island. Excuse me. But after that, the weather was really nice. The only time it got cold, excuse me, was inside buildings. That museum was freezing. I'm guessing it was somewhere around maybe 65 degrees, maybe colder.
Gosh. Wow.
And I wish I brought a jacket.
Wow. Yeah. Has a sports coat in there. Well, Sally Ride, what is the connection? Is there a connection with Sally Ride? She was, of course, born in California. Her San Diego museum, named after her, is well known. But this is a very special, about a 2-year-old statue there, isn't there?
I think so, yeah. And I don't know the connection or if there is a connection. The only possible connection that I can imagine was Grumman built the wings on the space shuttle, and Fairchild, another Long Island corporation, built the stabilizer. So that might be the only connection. I saw nothing out there explaining why Sally Ride's statue was there. But it was a beautiful statue.
It does look like her. What's all this around it, Marty?
It's kind of like our museum, Mark. You can pay X number of dollars. I don't know how much that costs. Actually, I did. I looked it up. I think the smallest brick is about $200 to $250, and it goes up to about, I think, $500. So you can inscribe your name or any message you want to put on there. And I did see one name I recognized. A man who I used to work for on Grumman. Name was Dick Kupchak, and we call him Cuppy. He has 3 bricks out there.
Kupchak?
Kupchak.
Yeah. Marty didn't elaborate that he was a lead electrical engineer on the lunar module, had his gloved handprints and so forth all over him. And Marty's gonna be able to really tell us about some things about it with the best replicas I've ever seen. Johnson Space Center is very poor compared to what we glanced at here, putting this together. So there we're gonna go inside. Calm down, Connie McDaniel. She sees a blue jet
angel
there. Okay, Blue Angel jet there. She's already, you scored big points with her, buddy.
Well, Connie, if you're listening, that's why I took that picture. Now you'll see a limb. You can see the bottom part of the descent stage. It's hanging up there. It's on the top. But my main focus was on the Blue Angel jet.
Well, Connie's nephew was a mechanic and lead person on the Blue Angels, and she's been very generous about giving us tickets to go to events around here. So
if you walk straight in, going back to that picture.
Yeah,
Okay. If you walk straight, I think there's people back there. No, it isn't. Okay, that's the gift shop. And just
there's your brother face right on the left edge there.
Oh yeah.
I see Fred right there on the left
Great
side.
picture.
Yeah.
But the gift shop is straight ahead, and just to the left of the gift shop is where the Space Museum portion is. And to the left, Mark, which where my brother's face is, that's where the planetarium is.
Okay. So there's what kind of replica, or is that some?
No, it's definitely a mock-up. Yeah, I couldn't tell. They had signs out there, but the signs weren't, I'd say, as complete as some of the signs we have. And I'll talk about that when we get further into it. Yeah, that's Tom Kelly. And Tom Kelly was the chief engineer, design engineer on a lunar module. And I believe that's the actual lunar module. I think that was the most recent model. I think it's the same one that I have, and the one that Charlie Mars sold at auction.
Well, some transparencies they had backlit.
Yeah.
Is that what that was?
Yeah, and that's in Bethpage, New York. I don't know which vehicle it is. There's nothing on there telling you which vehicle it was, but it's on a work stand. It's about midway through fabrication, I guess. The ascent and descent is mated, and a lot of the tanks and piping is installed. none of the electronics, and obviously none of the blankets are installed.
Beth Page, of course, where the manufacturing plant is.
Yeah.
Do you know why the Cradle of Aviation was moved? I guess you got 4 museums there. It just was a
Yeah.
logical kind of tourist situation. In the town again, where Cradle?
Garden City.
Garden City. Okay, Garden City, Long Island. Tommy Usiak says, good afternoon. Nice to see Marty back. And Mitch Rothman of Man Space. Great to see Marty. Hello to everyone from Colorado. So you come back to town and had another noisy rocket launch off at 9 o'clock this morning.
Yeah.
And then it landed here. We heard, I was in, of course, I'm in Port St. John. That was a big boom and a good rumble this morning.
Never heard a sound.
You never heard a sound?
No.
Were you at the gym working out?
No, I was home and I was working outside. So
Okay.
we got a big party coming up Saturday for my granddaughter's graduation party from college.
So you jumped back from vacation right into the fire
war.
here. So here's a cool picture you took. There's so many replicas. Steve Jokums will be interested in seeing these models in there. The genesis of the lunar module, as you see, from a balsa wood on the upper left-hand corner to the configuration we have here at the museum: 6 legs, 2 docking hatches.
And the signs behind each one, obviously you can't really see it here, but the one on the left that looked made out of wood, that was the first rendition of the lunar module. And then you see the evolution. It had no front hatch in that model, didn't have a porch, didn't have a ladder going down. The one to the right of it, same thing. You don't see the one on the right, second level, same thing.
Right off your shoulder
Yeah.
there. That was there.
Yeah.
They didn't put porches on them yet.
No,
Or
and it still had the round hatch. In the bottom row is where you see the more up-to-date one. I can't see which one is the. It's too hard to see here. But what they also show is the LEM. I never knew this. The LEM was going to have a rover attached to it. They're going to land a descent stage, and the ascent stage was going to be a rover. And another lunar module would land next to it with, I'll say, the lunar module we had back in the day. So the astronauts would go out, get onto the rover, and drive around.
So the descent stage was going to bring a rover by itself?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there'd be 2 lunar modules, one with a rover. Then there's another version where it's going to have a habitat on top of the descent stage.
That still is a concept that the Blue Moon is doing. Is just a space cargo descent stage there.
That's just it's a picture, and it's probably Apollo's, I'm guessing 16. I can't tell if it was leaning over or not, so it wouldn't be 15. It was just a picture. I just, thought it was a good picture.
Get you, there's a rocket above it there. I'm going to look inside the museum here a little bit.
And that's an Apollo module. I'm sorry, Apollo command module. And I believe it's command module 002. Doesn't mean a whole lot to me other than it didn't fly. And on top of it, the parachute flew to the moon on Apollo 15.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Nice display there with the distinctive orange and white parachutes. They landed.
Yes, I think that was at Downey for a while. Yeah. And this picture.
That's a nice picture. I'm glad we loaded that. That certainly does give you a corridor of space history there.
Exactly. Because you see Sputnik. Forget about the Mercury capsule sitting down on the ground, but overhead is the Sputnik, then the Mercury capsule, Gemini capsule, and if you go around the corner, which we'll see in a little bit, is the lunar module.
Explorer is above your head there.
Yep. And
another nice look. Good to see the moon up there hanging down.
Yeah, there's no sign on the moon, but it looks like it had like little lights where the LEMs landed. But I think some of the rovers, they're depicting that also.
Okay.
It was just a good shot, and you can't see it, but you see the console to the left of the moon. Those are the simulator consoles for Apollo. I don't know if it was for the LEM or the command module, or perhaps both. Not really sure.
Carlton Bailey says, welcome back, Marty, as does Connie McDaniel says, welcome home, Marty. So glad to have you back. you'll be doing some astronaut wrangling out there, getting some autographs. I got John Harrington's in town while I'm away. And we've got a recorded show of John Harrington that we had a glitch with that we need to fix. So tell him it's in the works, that Bruce is very busy.
Yeah.
What do you got there, Marty? That looks like Mr. Goddard, who we love.
That's Mr. Goddard in the middle, and to the left of him, that's Mr. Oppenheimer, and to the right is
Lindbergh?
Lindbergh. Yeah, thank
That
you.
photograph?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one of the early rockets that Goddard developed, and you see that in pictures all the time. And I don't know if that's a mock-up. I'm pretty sure it is. I would think the original's probably at the Air and Space Museum.
Now we're going to get into a series of great photos here, and you're going to tell us what we're looking at here, of course.
That's Apollo 16, which did not go anywhere. You know, obviously Apollo, I'm sorry, not Apollo, Apollo 16. It's lunar module.
Lunar module's number 16.
16, yeah.
15 was the 17's tail number. You're talking about the tail numbers.
Right, yeah. And it's
So this would have been used for Apollo 18?
which obviously was canceled, along with 19 and 20.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a good display. What I didn't care about it, I understand that they wanted a black background that simulates out in the moon sitting in space, basically. But you can't walk around it. You can walk around just the side, the front, and the other side. You can't get behind it, so you can't see the engine bell cover.
Yeah,
that you like.
I do. I like that engine bell gap cover, and Steve Yoakams showed me that was very much in the modeling community there.
And what you see open, kind of not laying down, but deployed, is the Mesa.
Right
And
there. Yeah, that on the
that way.
yeah,
right there.
There, you're pointing at the Mesa. Yeah.
And Logan, if you put the arrow where I asked you to put it.
Yeah, it's working on it. It's not letting me grab it,
Oh, it's not?
so I'm having to use arrows.
Okay, anyway, on the bottom right-hand corner of the Mesa, that's where our names were that went to the
There
moon.
you go.
It'd be a little
And
bit
tell us
lower.
what that story is, Marty, on Apollo 11.
Well, one of our friends, one of our technicians at the launch pad decided we want to do something. We want to put our names on the moon or on the lunar module. And we took a piece of mylar. It was actually a Kapton, not mylar, which was flight worthy, if you will. We used flight ink and we wrote our names on it. And then we attached it to the Mesa package. So when Neil Armstrong would get out and walk around to the Mesa, if you listen real carefully, you can hear him say, "What?" And he stopped. So we think he was trying to say, "What is this?" or "What in the world is this?" And he knew enough not to say anything. And then what happened, one of our technicians went to the launch party, and he was bragging about what we did. And the reporter overheard it, asked him some questions. He told him what we did. And the next day, Rocco Petrone. And Rocco Petrone, we've talked about him several times. He's
Not happy.
No, he wasn't happy. He wanted George Skirl. He was our base manager, our senior person out there. And he said, basically, do you know what your people are doing? How can you let this happen? I want them all fired. And George said, "You're not going to fire my babies. If you fire them, we're not launching again." It took a year or more to certify these people. We won't launch again. So what the guy I mentioned earlier, the Kopchak, he got suspended for, I think, 2 or 3 days. That was the price we paid.
Huh.
So, and it's in the book. If you read Chariots of Apollo, the whole story's in that book.
And Bill Waldron, your friend,
Yeah.
who has been on Stay Curious several times and told that story because he was the chief engineer. Or,
Yeah, he was the head engineer on Apollo 11.
Mm-hmm.
And he happened, the guy who was writing this the name was John Allen, and I forget the other person. And Bill happened to walk in, asked what you're doing. John Allen turned bright red. He was very light complexion, turned bright red. And Bill got mad. And John really got upset. Bill says, "How can you do this? How can you do this without telling me so I can put my name on it?" So Bill put his name on it. And I don't know the exact words he used, but essentially that's what happened.
Yeah, the boss was left out of this. And then when we asked Bill, well, where'd you write your name? He said, right on the damn top above everybody's. So your name is on the Apollo 11 descent stage up
Yeah.
there. Someday, your kids or grandkids, somebody in your family will know that someday.
Well,
That
they
is so
they
cool.
know that, but when you get out there, it's just kind of like the flag. The American flag is bleached white.
Yeah.
So I'm sure our signatures, our names are bleached white or just bleached out.
Well,
But with
I hope we get
technology,
back
maybe.
there to see,
Yeah.
buddy. Tamara Miller says, glad to have you back, Marty. And Steve Jokums, he says, I really need to see that museum. Thanks for sharing, Marty. So, uh, all right, let's go through this. So this it sort of pales in comparison to the Kennedy Visitor Complex display because you can't walk around it. Huh?
Can't walk around, and it's dark in that area too. You know, the gold mylar glimmers, but
Yeah, you lose the effect of the blue bathed light there at the
yeah.
top. That's Kapton foil and the Inconel that we've Marty's explained that to you. So
So this is the back of the cabin. Well, you may call it a cockpit. We used to call it a cabin, and I still use that terminology. And we'll see the front also. But you can see everything we had on the sides of it. In the mock-ups we see at Kennedy Space Center and a lot of the pictures, you don't see all that paraphernalia on either side.
right,
And
yeah.
that's where they store their food and clothing and everything else they needed for
So it's
flight.
like sawing it in half and opening it up, Marty.
Exactly, yeah,
Because you see on the left side there's
Yeah.
the other things.
yeah. And in the middle is the ascent engine
I
cover.
think you can point that out with your hand.
I have your problem, Mark.
Yeah, I know. See what I go through?
That's
Yeah,
it.
you're pointing to the ascent just
Yeah.
up a little higher there. That's where Marty, you sat right on that.
Yeah, my butt
right?
prints on that with my hand gloves.
Okay.
But not on this one. It's obviously a mock-up.
But the triangular windows are
No, this is the back of it.
that's looking out the back of
Yeah,
it. The
if you-
window side's
Yeah.
on the
If you look
left
straight
side,
up,
yeah.
you see the
Oh, the docking hatch
tunnel.
straight up. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And now, the thing about Apollo 13, Schweiker mainly was sitting on that engine cover, and Fred Hayes and Jim Lovell's up front, and we'll see the front of it. And I'm going to go back there one more second, Mark. I'm
Mhm.
sorry. But off to the left, and that's where a lot of the ECS and environmental control settings were. On the right, you heard about the fan, the problem we had with the fan. Not the fan, I'm sorry, the desiccant.
Yeah.
The, what do you call it? Can't think what it's called. You know, you had the round hole versus the square hole.
Oh, right.
um,
The filter for
Yeah.
the carbon dioxide
Yeah.
purging
Yeah.
on there.
Is
So
that-
that was this white area above your head there.
No. Let me get my right there.
Oh, okay.
That's it right there.
All right.
So
That's where that famous filter was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Again, why would they even think that we got two spacecraft? We want to have the standard filter on each. Of course, North American making the one and
Yeah, but
Grumman the other.
But some of the obvious things fall through the crack. You know, they got the important items, if you will, but some things fall through the crack, like the fan. Like I keep calling it a fan, like the filter. Just like when Apollo 11 landed, from the exhaust from the descent engine, you couldn't see the surface of the moon. Remember that? Who told us that? The guy
Bob Pearson.
Bob Pearson, yeah. And so for future flights, they went ahead and they took the camera out of focus as they simulated landing. So those are little things that
Yeah.
you just don't think about. Some things going to fall through the cracks, and that's what happened with that.
Yeah, I remember Bob
Yeah.
Pearson telling that story of talking to Neil and Buzz in Houston across the glass when they were in
Yeah.
quarantine, and they said we couldn't see the last 10 feet, and how are we going to solve that? And they solved it, like Marty said, by defocusing the camera system on this big. These simulators are basically the greatest video games, certainly of their
And
time.
that's probably why Apollo 15 landed on us partially in the crater.
Mhm.
They couldn't see the surface.
Very difficult.
Yeah.
They will need cameras probably. It'd be good to have cameras around the way they have cameras on everything now to see through that. Well, let's look some more at the Cradle of Aviation with Marty Winkel here. Marty and I have been co-producing together Stay Curious for over 4.5 years, 1,112 episodes today. So happy to have him share a little bit of his vacation. Here's looking at the other side.
Yeah, that's the front of the cabin, and this is a Pliss is on the floor, if you will, on the deck, and
The
that's
personal life support system,
Yeah.
PLIS.
okay. So that's, let's say Apollo 11. So that's Neil Armstrong on the left. Buzz Aldrin would be where I am. So you can see how much little room they had to move around. And I keep going back to Apollo 13. At least in my mind, you have 3 astronauts in that lunar module. You got Jack
Yeah.
sitting on the engine cover, and Neil and Fred. I mean, Fred and Jim.
Jim Lovell.
Yeah, standing there, and there's no room. You can't move around much at all.
Wow. For 3 days.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, just the confinement is something to think
Yeah,
about.
but this is really a good replica of the cabin. The yellow outline there, that's where the star tracker is. You can see the disky mark.
This computer in the middle,
Yeah.
the many of you know that the spacesuit has that gray rectangle on it because that's where the personal life support system was rubbing against their back, so they didn't want to rub through there.
But think about this now. You got Neil and Buzz in the cabin. Buzz wanted to be the first one out. NASA finally explained to him, said, Buzz, the hatch swings towards you. How are you going to get out? So you can see how little room they had to work with.
Yeah, just because you didn't have much room to move behind you
Yeah.
there. The door swung open on the hinges on the right, so the hinges were on the right, so the door did swing open so that the left side commander
Yeah.
would be easier for him. But they had to wiggle their way down and out. It was not it was a very tight fit.
You had to get down on your hands and knees and then back out legs first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just amazing. Let's go forward here again. Oh, there's another close up of the image there. There you see the desk key right there beside you. The computer. Nice view of the docking window
Yep.
up there on above the commander's head. That's nice.
Yep. And also to the left, you see that little panel. That's circuit breakers there on both sides.
Uh-huh.
Then you have obviously all your flight instrumentation in front of the astronauts, and you can see the window on the right hand side. They had a picture of the moon out that window.
Tell us why they didn't have seats.
Didn't need them. First, you're saving weight,
Mm-hmm.
and which was critical at that point. And you're in 0G while you're flying it, so you don't really need to sit down. And when you're on the lunar surface, when the lunar module's on a lunar surface, you're at 1/6 gravity. So it may be nice to have a seat, but again, they could sit on the engine cover and you could sit on the floor. So and that's what they did.
And when they stood up, it allowed them to look out the windows better too,
Yeah.
right? They could,
Well, they might.
if they were sitting back, they wouldn't be able to look down directly. And here they are looking more.
Well, if you think about the model we have here, you see what they actually found out. They call them helicopter windows.
Uh-huh.
So the big windows is just 2 on each side, and if you're sitting down, you would need them. But once they decided to take the chairs out, then they redesigned the windows so it's triangular, and it's actually the bottom of it is pointed, leading into the lunar module, so they can look straight down while they're standing, while they're flying.
And looking at those windows, one of the stories I like hearing Charlie Dukes talk about, I've heard him talk about, is when they pressurize it, those windows bulge out. There was movement to them. Just like they could pop out, you're thinking. And all right, we're going to go segue from the lunar module there. And we've got Dean Babcock says, any idea what the temperature would have been in the LEM while on the surface of the moon?
It was controlled. I want to say, I'm not really sure. I would say somewhere between 68 degrees and 72,
Okay.
but it was essentially room temperature.
You had 200 degrees outside beating down on you there. Doug Forrest says hello, and Man Space and Steve Jokums both helping us. Those were lithium hydroxide canisters
Thank
in
you.
there. So that's what we love about our viewers, don't we, Marty? That they're intelligent. They know a lot about space. They know more than I do about it in many regards, and This is what a great family we built here, our Stay Curious family, don't you think?
Yeah, they're great. And a few people we met, really great people. Uh, enjoyed talking with them. It's really great.
Well, they're enjoying you talking about the facts here at the Cradle of Aviation. And here is inside of a, not a jet fighter,
No, Gemini capsule.
Gemini capsule. Look at which always remind me of a jet fighter, and of course that's how these jet fighters and test pilots designed it, like what they were familiar with. And did it strike you? How did it strike you to look at that?
Well, I sat in there.
Did you?
Yeah, and
Oh, it's a replica you can sit in.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. They had a lot of replicas. There's very few true hardware like the lunar module we just saw.
So
but
you and me sitting in there, how close are we? Like this close together?
Probably a little bit further than that. It wasn't as tight as I thought, but I'm just guessing that the chairs are not like that. I think there's probably cushioning and other, I don't know what, making the seats more comfortable. And then again, you're in a spacesuit, so even less room. That's go back to that. Yeah, that's the flight pad. That's the front of it. Yeah, that's the controls. Thank you.
All right.
I forget some of these big words.
So both sides had the duplicate controls, it looks like, pretty much on there. So I see a joystick there. So I make that smaller. You see a joystick down right there. All right. We've sold one of those at an auction out of the trainer for about $30,000. All right. Now we're going to look at the skin of this thing taken off here and some cool pictures. Which at first I'm going, is that during assembly of this thing? But no, they have mannequins. How cool is that? So just bring back some memories, Marty. You didn't work at this stage. This is
sure
at
did.
Bethpage.
No,
you did?
Yeah, I started in Bethpage, and the first vehicles I worked on was this vehicle right here called LTA-1 Lunar Test Article. So it never had any skin on it. It was basically a fit test for the tanks and the mating of the ascent descent stage and a lot of the components. I don't recall having any electronics components on it. No, in the cabin there was no panels or instrumentation. It was more mechanical. But I worked on that one. Then I worked on LTA-8, another lunar test article, and then LEM-1, LEM-3. Then I did those vehicles at KSC.
So that's the real deal there as far as a test article.
Yeah, but you can see the actual inside structure because people sometimes ask about that. And it's aluminum. You can see the ribbing on it.
It's like, and then the mannequins there are so real-like.
Yeah.
Now, even with the skin on it there, Buzz Aldrin, the first time he saw a lunar module, I guess it'd probably been at Bethpage, or maybe it was a Space Center.
No, it would be at Bethpage. They all came to Bethpage.
Yeah, well, he would. Bob Pearson said his comment was, "We're not going to fly that, are we? You're going to put something else over it, right?" And they said, "No, sir. That's the article there."
I like Jim McDivitt's comment when he first saw the LEM. He said, "Are we going to fly that thing?"
Yeah.
And then after he flew it, he said how great it was.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, from the lunar mod, and that's titanium we're looking at mostly, light titanium.
Aluminum.
Aluminum.
Yeah.
Okay. Cast aluminum on there. So, putting you on the spot there, how many were built? 20?
Well, you had one through, I know one through 16. And I don't know about the ones for Apollo 19 and 20.
Okay.
I'm sure it was in work. I don't know what, where it was. But going back to this just one more second. So that's the material. That's the skin that was milled down to 0.06 mil to save weight.
Wow. 0.06 mil. And there's a nice Saturn rocket model there. Yeah. Well displayed there. I like the cutaway behind it there.
Exactly. And that's something I think we need to do because we have a similar Santa
Yeah.
vehicle.
Yeah.
So we would do something like that.
Yeah, right. That little cutaway there. I find one in our archives. I'll pull that out for Nick to show there. I love the cutaways because, as you all know, when we show in the lunar module, I always love showing stuff on there. There's your brother Fred.
Yep. And that's the tail. That's the stabilizer. That was built by Fairchild.
Uh-huh.
You can see the shuttle just next to it.
Yeah, exactly there. Um, so we're winding up here this great conversation with Marty Winkel back from his vacation. And it was bittersweet because you went up there for family business, of course. But Gary's on the coast here. Stop by and see Marty tomorrow, Gary. He's here on vacationing and with his wife Donnie and some friends. So he stopped by yesterday. And Cliff Watson just woke up in Pomona, Australia, and saying hi, Cliff. Look who we got on whose mug we have on the show today. So thank y'all for watching today. Now what we're looking at here, Marty's what?
Yeah, that's a poster that on Apollo 9 LEM 3 that everybody at KSC who wanted to had the opportunity to sign that poster. And as far as I know, went on microfilm and went to the moon and back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is LEM 3,
Yeah.
Apollo 9. You've got Rusty Schweikert, Jim McDivitt, the first pilots of the first spacecraft. Marty, say it how you like to say it. This spacecraft is unique because
It's the first and to this date the only space vehicle designed to fly solely in the vacuum of space. So it's a true crewed space vehicle. It's also the first vehicle to be flying standing up, first vehicle to land and then take off, first vehicle
of an alien world.
anywhere.
Yeah, anywhere, anywhere. Of course.
In all eternity.
Yeah, in all eternity.
It's the first crewed vehicle to fly with a variable thrust engine, which was a descent engine.
Uh-huh. Boy, was that important to getting Apollo 13 home,
Oh yeah.
too. Absolutely. And so we look at all these names out there.
Now this is a different poster, and I have both. We actually had three posters, and I did not take a picture. I'm almost certain it's Apollo 11.
Okay.
And right where my head is where my name is.
Yeah, I can see Neil's signature in the upper left-hand
Okay.
corner there. I can recognize Neil's signature on that photo or lithograph, and they got the plate up above. So as you zoom into it, you see his name there right there in the middle. Marty Winkel there. And everybody else in there. Yep, there you go. How cool is that? That's just like you put it on the moon there, Marty.
Yep.
LTA-8 is at the Space Center in Houston.
That's right. Yeah.
Says Mitch of Manned Space there. And do check out, when you see the Manned Space in the comments, go to NASA Manned Space on Facebook. Mitch Rothman does a great job like we do here, giving you some space history every day. And Mitch, I try to share some of your stuff, and I'll be sharing more of that. So appreciate that. Marty, you were really enthralled with the statue there.
Yeah.
I could tell a little
Yeah.
bit. And we love talking about Sally Ride. Lost her battle to cancer way too young at age 62. She's the youngest American to go to space. I think she's 32. The youngest person to go to space to orbit was Germaine Titov at age 26.
She's also the first woman Capcom.
Yeah, on there. And you did this little stylized picture of her there. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I like that because you can actually see the outline. You can see the, I don't know what you want to call it, the items on her spacesuit.
Detail is
Detail.
amazing. I remember several years ago when this was revealed. Didn't have time to research the name of the artist who did this, but Marty will be sharing more of this with our friends on Stay Curious as we do other shows. Steve Jokums, thanks you, Marty, for listening to your Grumman work on there, and he's just another national treasure like we have in Karen Conklin. I commented as her own national treasure as an example of the American dream and hard work ethic and just her inclusiveness of everybody. And just like these two guys are national treasures there, Bob Giffen and Murphy Wardman there, who are going to be celebrating their life tomorrow and Saturday at the North Brevard Funeral Home. So, Marty, thank you very much for being on the show today. And
Let me say one more thing, though.
of course,
What what I like about our museum relative to Cradle of Aviation is our docents. They had it, I don't want to really talk negative about the museum. It's really a great museum, meaning the Cradle of Aviation. But there's only one docent that I saw in that whole space area, and he literally walked around with his hands in his pocket, and he didn't offer any information on anything.
was he? What age was that person?
At my age,
Oh, okay.
he's an old guy.
All right. So an old timer.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
just thought, if it's and I should have asked him. I should have asked him what his background was. I didn't think about it at the time, but our docents are more involved than what appeared to be at the Cradle, and it could have been just this one docent.
Mm-hmm.
The other ones could be more like our docents.
Well, that is the amazing thing. We just lost two great ones there. Man, Murphy didn't do much of that in the end, but he was 92 years old when he passed away, and Bob's 86. And we lost Jack Martin, who would sit out there at the Saturn V and talk to people all day long at the Kennedy Space Center. So, and that's why we want Marty sharing what he can with you all out there. You're one of the youngest of your group.
I only knew one person younger than me, and he was younger by 2 months.
Wow, out there. So that's what our museum's all about. This is the path that Karen Conklin continued setting for our museum, was celebrating the birth of America's space age right here in its delivery room, Brevard County. So got a final question that'll give us a moment to thank Logan Cope of Eastern Florida State College. Logan, you got a question?
Dean's wanting to know what's the most unique artifact of the lunar module that they have in their possession, or in our possession.
No, that Marty has in his possession. Yeah,
Oh, did I have?
that you
I
can
think-
tell us.
I think, remember that lunar module I said that I had and Charlie Morris had
Yes,
so often?
yeah.
That. Um,
That is a very detailed small model under a little, like a cheese glass
Yeah.
there. That's cool. You got Kapton foil. I mean, not,
I have Mylar.
and yeah, you have
Yeah.
Mylar. That's right. You have the Mylar in there.
And that was actually on the vehicle. I have Mylar from Lunar Module Apollo 12 to Lunar Module 7, and from Apollo 17 Lunar Module 12.
And Dean Babcock, thanks for your question. Marty also has framed each lunar landing and 13 in beautiful 4 feet by 3 feet. You frame some of the
And that-
iconic things of those. on
Not
there.
quite that big, but
Yeah, well, they're beautiful works of art in themselves that he had framed to memorialize each lunar landing on there. So, thank you, Dean Babcock and Larry Pushkar, Robert Law, William Whiting, Steve Jokums, Man Space, Tommy Usiak, Carlton Bailey, Connie McDaniel, Tamara Miller, Doug Forrest, and Gary Gerald. And Marty, we can put a face on each and every one of you guys out there. Haven't met Dean yet, okay? But isn't that something that we've made these kind of friends over this program here over all these years? And you've been a big part of it, Marty. You downplay it, but I could never do it without you. And we've had a great, after we kind of got the flow of this thing
Yeah.
and what we wanted, we've agreed so much on stuff, and it's just been fun.
but you can do that, mate, because you had Logan here for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I didn't have anybody correcting me like you do and straightening me out on the fly there. But no, really, and we're not. I'm not being sentimental about Stay Curious that we're not going to continue it. It's certainly in big plans for the future of this museum, but we still had a great run.
Yeah.
As long as we've done here, I look back on some of the old shows that we did very crudely, and yet I'm proud of the content that we were always putting out there. We've been very consistent on celebrating the shuttle era, Marty was involved in the launch process services as a manager on the shuttle engines. And so what you always bring to the plate is somebody that's been there and done that, not somebody like Logan who's doing a great job running the board, but he didn't twist any wires together, so to speak, on the lunar module like you did. So
Well, not yet. We'll give him a job out there, maybe.
that's right. Yeah, that's right. So thank you all for watching today. And I got through all the questions there. Thank you, my friend. Excellent job again, as usual. I'm looking forward to having a few days off, and I'll be back next Wednesday. You and I'll put another show together like we do every weekday at 4 o'clock. So thank you all for watching. We will have a recorded show Friday and Monday, or no show. I'll leave it up to Marty what we're going to do there.
We'll have a show.
And we'll have a show. He loves doing a. So we've got so many great shows to reprise on there, and I'll let Marty choose what he wants to do, and he'll let me know so I can tease it for you, because I still enjoy doing Facebook and looking at space news even on a vacation, unless I'm in Bali where there's no internet. There probably is internet in Bali because those noisy rockets
I was gonna say
are
that.
putting those Starlinks up
Yeah.
there around the world. So, all right, everybody. Thank you all for getting us through this rough week, and keep all of our wonderful space workers and Karen Conklin in your prayers. And we will see you again, right, Marty?
Yep.
What are we going to do?
Bridge
Bridge
the
the space
space between
between
us.
us. Thank you so much.